Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I have a flip through for you guys. For the first time in many months, I completed, well, almost completed, a devotional kit from ByTheWell4God, at least getting it put together so that I can share with you how I plan on working through it, even though probably either at the time that this is posted or shortly after this is posted, I'm already going to be sharing November's release. So, you know, we're getting there. But for the last few months, I have been deconstructing the devotionals and then coil binding them using the We Are Memory Keepers cinch system. And this has been an awesome way for me to still be creative, but also giving me space to work through the devotional. Everything is self-contained, so I can take this on the go with me, take this to school with me, work on it in between classes. And now I've gotten, scratched that creative itch, but then also have, realistic places to journal and take notes and utilize the spaces within this. So again, this is fit for the master's use. I believe there are still kits available from this release. So I will try to link those down below for you guys if it is still available in the shop. I hope that when you see some of the things in use, maybe kind of inspires you. Maybe you had passed on this initially. The devotional content is very, very good. We're talking about our spiritual health, our faith health, and being a ready vessel for God's use. And so I think that's a really important topic for those of us who are believers to take a look at. And so what I did to start with is I just go through and pull out the staples, cut down the center of the devotional booklet, and just lay out all the pages. And then I go through and add pages and elements in between each page of the devotional that gives me some space to journal, take notes, things like that. And so I'll go through and add, some of the clear stickers just to kind of, pretty it up, add some more things in there. Definitely not necessary. Kind of over the top for a way to work through these devotionals, but it's fun. I love the creative aspect of it. I imagine many of you do. That's why you're here following me. And so that's why we do what we do, right? So I try to leave it pretty blank or unfinished. That way I can come back in and add additional elements if I want to. One thing I do is I do go through and highlight all of the verses. That way they are very easy for me to go through. I usually, before I even read the day, I do like a read through of the whole devotional when I first get it. But when I go to study, even before I read the devotional content, I go and read the scripture because I want the scripture to be the lens that I look at the devotional through, not vice versa. I don't want to read the devotional and let that dictate how I'm interpreting or applying that scripture. I want to see how God leads me through that scripture first, and then I go and read the devotional content and see how they've used that scripture with the devotional content. That's just me personally. So I go through and highlight all those. I do go through and white out all of the titles for the day and then use the add-on stickers. Titles, again, not necessary, but I like how it brings in some color onto this page. And then I went through and used some of the number stickers just to number the days. Again, not necessarily necessary. It doesn't really matter what day it is. But if you are like I am, like this sat deconstructed for several weeks. So I don't want to lose pages or have things get mixed up. There are page numbers down at the bottom, but I go ahead very first thing and do this. Add the day numbers and the titles. And then that way it's a little bit easier for me to keep everything in the correct order. And then for 99% of the devotional, my base pages are just the pattern papers that I've cut down. Those are the 6x8 papers that I've cut to about 4 1/4 wide by 8 tall. And those are my bases. And so I just go through and put those all in and then just kind of build up from there. This time around, I did kind of pre-plan it, and then I had these first. So I kind of tried to, keep the color scheme kind of similar so that it paired together well, but then I just go through and add all the different elements. So here is some ephemera pieces. I like to go through and cut away some of the extra border. I did for this particular one, distress everything with some gathered twigs, distress ink, and a blending tool. I have a mess over here. Blending tool, and I just added this to the edge of labels, cards, ephemera, slides, everything but the base paper. You could even do the base paper if you wanted to, but at this point, I was at home sick. I had stayed home from school sick this day and just spent the whole day putting this together. So this is a little bit of mummy cloth from Tim Holtz. This comes out October-ish, August, September, October. This comes back out every year. And it was just a fun texture to add in there. This is one of the slides in use. I did run this through a 3D texture folder, so it's got like a cracked leather texture to it, but you can see it and feel it in person, but on camera it might be a little bit tricky to see. So I just go through my stash. I pull like some Tim Holtz stamps, but primarily this is all stuff from the release. This word card, I'll do my word study here on that label. And then I always leave myself some space to journal. So one of the easiest ways and kind of my go-to is just using some index cards. I go and round the corners and stick that down. There you go. So that way I've got, you know, the pattern paper still there. I can see it. I can add some decorative things. You can see I did add some distressing, used one of the stamps, but this gives me a spot to write on. And then, you know, I just kind of fill in. So here's for day 2, used one of the journaling cards. This one I actually only adhered like part way down, so it creates a pocket, which I totally messed up. I'm just now seeing. Don't leave your things in your pocket when you assemble your booklet like I did here and then punched a hole in my card. But these I'll come back and do the word studies on the back of them, and then they all can tuck into this little pocket right here. And then I can do some journaling on the front if I want to, and then just some embellishment with ephemera pieces, some of the washi, a little tiny paper clip, and then the back side, again, very, very basic. I've seen several of these done, and you can go crazy with all kinds of like interactive flip outs. I've done those before. But I've just found if I find something that works and is easy and I just stick with that formula, these come together pretty quick. This is one of the journaling cards. I just used it as kind of a standalone piece. I did use some of the fabric. Staple, you know, you could go in and sew things. Stapler's easy. Staple's easy and fast. So there gives me some additional journaling space. Again, just go through. I usually put it all together and then I go through with the clear stickers and just kind of sprinkle them throughout, just to kind of add some additional interest. This page we worked on together during my live session, so I will link that live down below. Somebody asked about doing watercolor backgrounds. So this is a watercolor background that we did together. And then in the live, you'll know I really struggled with a stamped set of lungs right here. I tried several different products, several different techniques. I just could not get it to look the way that I wanted to. So no problem, cover it up, not the end of the world. So you might want to go watch that video and then come back and see this and see how I finished up the page and then how I dealt with that issue at the bottom. But this is just watercolor, so it's very easy to write on. I've got plenty of room to just journal right in there. I use that stamp set. I guess I should have all of those, but let me grab them real quick. All right, because I can't remember the names of the stamp sets because there's just too many. So this was the kit stamp. It was what I tried to use initially, and it didn't work. So I've used one of the ephemera pieces, but this is the Apothecary label. And what I did was I just used some Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock and sprayed a bunch of Distress Oxide sprays. These are actually the ones that I used right here. So I used old paper, brush corduroy, spray stain, and then Vintage Photo Distress Oxide spray. Sprayed, created a messy, grungy looking background, and then I stamped all but one, just because I didn't have room on the paper. Stamped them in some brown archival ink, and then fussy cut them out. And I did that right at the start, so I just had them as like additional ephemera pieces that then I could add into places. So just layered it up with one of the scripture cards. So here you can see these, you know, you can use as journaling cards or just using them as layering elements. I like crumpled it up and added some distress to it just to create a little spot down there. And then on the back, because this was not one of the pattern papers, this is one that I made, I just backed it with some of the dyed papers that I've made in the past, added some more of those ephemera pieces, and then now I've got plenty of journaling room. And so here I wanted to show you, because I know there were some people that were like, oh, I don't know about body parts, right? Body parts when they saw the unboxing, things like that. But I mean, it just blends in and goes with the art style, and it goes with the theme of what we are talking about. So I think it's very tastefully done. I really love the look of this book completed. It's beautiful to me. I really love it. So this is one of the mini file folders. So this is one of the main ways that I actually use the file folders is I turn them into pockets. So I just stapled. Here I actually punched through my staple. That's how intense the cinch machine is. I'm hoping that I did not break it when I did that, but I would probably just staple the top, then coil bind it, and then come back in and add an additional staple. But this is just one of those file folders stapled, and then another one of those apothecary labels. And then I've got my word flashcards, a little bit of fabric on them, tuck those in. And you can see they do kind of poke out, so I'll probably come back in, like I said, and add another stapled spot there. I've got them, these turned this way. So those tuck in, but you can also tuck little prayer cards in there if you wanted to, and then just some stickers. This one was really fun. So when I saw this spiritual wellness stamp set, I knew that I wanted to do something like this. So I stamped it on some patterned paper, this paper here, and then I colored in the paper pieces, and then I cut out one of my dyed papers that I had made, sized for this top page. And then I took an X-Acto knife and I actually cut out around the little clipboard piece and then made it like that paper was slid under the clipboard piece. That left me like a little hole in the back. So I used one of the Band-Aids to cover the hole. But now it looks like this is like clipped into the clipboard. See how fun that is? And then this is a spiritual wellness check. So prayer life, mind, Bible reading, heart check, fruit of the spirit. So that I can come in and color in these circles as I go through. Now, I tried to kind of look at the devotional content and pair things, you know, with kind of the day or whatever. So I just thought this would be a good kind of check towards the beginning of the devotional before I worked through it. This is a border die from Tim Holtz, and this was actually a mistake. I actually intended for this side, this cream color side, to be face up, but that's not what happened, and that's okay. It works either way because then it goes on the back. So, you know, things happen. But that is a way to use the pattern papers and to use this large spiritual wellness check clipboard to make a little element there. I did use like a silver gel pen. I love how that came out. I thought that was really cute. Pattern paper, card, stickers. Very, very basic, very easy. Here's another pocket out of one of the file folders. Now this file folder I actually cut down because the file folders are a little bit wider than 4 1/4. So I just sliced off an edge and then I used my chomper, what is it called? Crocodile corner chomper to round the corners again. That way it looked like it was supposed to be like that. So don't be afraid to cut these down. I mean, you can cut them way, way down and create different shaped pockets. Again, stapled. I only stapled this side because it was going to be secured on this side in the coil there. Add a little bit more mummy cloth, one of those apothecary labels, and then just have a little pocket for my word studies. And you can see it is a little bit loose, but that also gives me space if I have additional journaling cards as I work through that day. Maybe I want to write out the verses. It just gives me another tuck spot that I can tuck additional things in there. Another journaling card. This one I probably will come back in and add like a border or some fabric or something just to kind of separate it from everything. But this one was one of the pattern papers, and then I stenciled those crosses in the background, use some ephemera pieces. This is another one of those slides, and then backed it with some pattern paper, one of the small stickers, and then some Tim Holtz stamps on there. So you can see this page has plenty of journaling. I can journal on the back here. I can write in here. I can write on here, right? Dang, I gave myself plenty for this page. This was a Tim Holtz die that creates these little envelopes. Let me grab it. Okay, so here is the one that was the border here. This decorative border piece is crochet. So I'll try to have these linked down below for you guys. And then this cute little envelope. I love how this turned out. This is using Collector. So Collector has this envelope piece here. And then these are actually, you can do them as cards, but you can also use them to cut out windows. So I cut out a window. That way I could see that there were, you know, cards tucked in there. And then I just used some of the plastic packaging, some of the packaging that came off of the journaling cards or stamps or something, and lined it with that. Used one of the pattern papers. I did use a circle punch to kind of punch out a little notch there. That way I could see that those are in there. But I love how that came out. And so that's just using Collector. All right. And then sometimes there were just pages that were just decorative. So there were a lot of elements that I liked. I really love this paper. This was some fabric that the gals at ByTheWell4God sent the team members for us to use, and just some pieces that I liked, and just created like a statement area. And then I've got places to journal. So you can still do, you know, your fun clusters, painting if you like to paint, mixed media, you know, make this your own. So you can still use those as pieces that way, and then give yourself some journaling space as well. So again, just basic card, another little pocket. I'll come back in and add some fabric to those cards. I loved this floral pattern. It's like everywhere. Another journaling card. This one I rounded the corners on. This is a fun little pocket that I created. So this is using Postal stamp set that, or die set that has this envelope from Sizzix. So I used some double-sided adhesive on the back of the fabric. So this is one of the fabrics that released last month. And I attached that to just some cardstock, or just, actually it was just copy paper. So I put this down on the copy paper, ripped off the backing sheet, stuck my fabric down on there. That way I had paper backed fabric. That runs through your die cutting machine a little bit better. It still does not fully cut through. So it just gives me like a deep impression that I then have to go through with my scissors and cut out. But then I have this really fun textured envelope that then I can tuck my cards into. Again, I'll probably add fabric to these also. But here I've got one of the mini spiritual cards, word cards. Just did some stamping with imperishable flowers. So just did some like tone on tone there. One of the labels. So very, very simple. I could do some journaling in here if I wanted to. And then some journaling on the back there. This one here, again, very simple. This was a paper that was special for the team as well. So if you're seeing that, like, hey, I don't remember that. That was special for the team. They asked if I wanted some. I was like, yes, I'm all about the bones and the body parts. Please send me that. Another one of these slides. So I did a little cluster of stickers in there. This one's very, very just basic piece. And yes, accidents happen. I went to stick down the sticker and it just went wonky. And for a second, I was like, dang it, what am I going to do? And then I went, who cares? It's my book. You guys are all going to see it, but most of you, if that happened to you, nobody else would see it. So it does not mean that you need to throw your project out. Don't get frustrated. It's not horrible trash. It happens. It happens, and it's not the end of the world, right? And then here, this was a little bit more muted of a paper, so I can write directly on there. I thought maybe I could do the word study up here if I wanted. There is some room to journal here as well. And with this system, I can punch out additional pieces. And then if I cut like a little notch into things, I can like, trying to think of the best way to explain that. I guess, let me show you. All right, so I went ahead and punched this with my cinch machine. I didn't show that because it's big and it's awkward. You get the idea, just punched it. So that's not gonna fit, right? Because they're closed. But if you come in and just cut a little notch out of the center of your squares, now this piece can pop in and out of your coils. I mean, obviously you'd have to go through and do all of them, but that way I could insert things in here later if I wanted to. So it's not like it's one and done once you've cinched it together. You can create tuck-ins to add into the coil binding after it's been bound. So another one of those. You can see I find what works for me, and then I just repeat it over and over and over again using those apothecary labels, little pocket with the file folder. This one I really loved this paper, and then just added some clear stickers to it. So now I've got all this room to journal on. And again, I could come in and use label stickers if I wanted to. I could add more ephemera if I wanted to after I've done my journaling, but I want to err on the side of having more room to journal, and then I can come back in and kind of fill things out with decorative elements if I want to, because I have lots of leftover even after doing this booklet. Again, just another one of those cards on the back. This one here was fun. So I used one of the large ephemera pieces, and then I only glued it down here. So this is like a little tuck pocket. It isn't super, super secure. So if you're going to be like traveling with your book, this might not be the best idea. But for me, it's going to work, and I can kind of like jam it in there and it will stay. So that was just kind of a fun, different way to create a tuck spot. Again, just journaling space, ephemera. Mounted one of the prescription cards on some pattern paper so I can journal directly there. You can tell I really love this paper and wanted that paper to be the focal point. Love that. Really, really beautiful florals for this kit. Another one of the file folders. You can see this one's turned a little bit differently. And so then I only stapled this side of it, and then I put the ephemera piece over the top. This one was cut down also. So I cut this one, rounded the corners, and then now I've got an extra little pocket there. Love that. This one is, again, just another kind of, using some things that I liked. And then I've got just a paper clip with my word card at the top there. So just some different ways to tuck things in there. And then again, another journaling card with an ephemera piece layered behind. So, I mean, when you look at things, they look filled out, but it did not take a lot of time. This is the pattern paper, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, like not very much at all. 2 pieces on some pattern paper, and then just filled in with some stickers. This one, again, pattern paper with just some ephemera pieces, again, giving me some space to journal. And then here's another one of those collector envelopes. This one I just ripped the top right off and then tuck these in. Now, these are a little deep for these cards, so you may want to like add your adhesive all the way like up to here, so it's a shallower pocket. I did not do that, so I just gave myself little tabs to pull. I think it'll be okay, but that's just adhered directly to the page, creating a fun little pocket. Another file folder pocket there, and then just a little cluster, again with some more of that fabric there. Journaling card or index card, and then that's it. So very, very, very simple. It took one afternoon. It did take a few hours because I'm very indecisive, and with all of the inking, not every kit do I do the like distressing with the ink. So that does make it a little bit messier, more time consuming, but in an afternoon, you can put together something like this, find it, and then now I've got it so that I can just sit down with my Bible, take notes directly onto here. I don't need to have all my art supplies with me. I don't need to have all of that. I can just take a couple things and then focus on the study now that all of the creative part is done. So I will try to link the various different things down below. If I forget something, leave me a comment. I'll come back in and add it. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below for me. Check out that description box for links to everything. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.